Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's Down and Dirty was a request, and it was tips and tricks for learning how to physically drive the excavator using the foot pedals instead of the hand controls. This is one of the more essential skills I would encourage you to learn. If you aren't already using your foot pedals for travel, I would highly encourage you to get away from using your hands, because 80% of the time when I'm running an excavator, I'm in a situation where I need to use my hand controls and travel at the same time. So let's talk about getting into that and how to kind of wrap your head around it if you're not familiar. So the first thing I would tell you is stop thinking of these as your way to travel and start thinking of these as training wheels. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our feet on the pedals. And if you guys, we're going to take this back to square one, day one basics for those of you who are not familiar. The way this works is when the machine is facing forward, which on a mini excavator it's really easy to determine because your blade is always in the front of the machine. On larger machines, you're going to have to look down and see if you have an idler or a final drive sitting out in front of you. The final drives always are in the rear of the machine. So if I push forward on these, we're going to travel away from the direction of the final drives. So that's the way your travel pedals work. The left side operates your left track, again, when the machine is facing forward. The right pedal operates the right track. And so I can do this, and you'll notice that my hand controls are directly tied to my foot pedals down below, and that's what we're going to use to travel. When you get serious in the industry, you stop using these and you only use your feet. And so the quickest way to do that is to put your feet on the pedals. And if you're totally new, obviously you don't want to do this while you're unloading on a trailer. You don't want to do this in any tight situation where you might screw up, because it does take practice getting your feet to where you can control them with the finesse you do with your hands. So the way we're going to start this is I'm literally just going to rest my feet on the pedals, but I'm still going to use my hands to steer. So we're going to go forward, and I can feel that in my feet. And now we're going to go backwards. And again, I can feel that in my feet because my feet are resting on the pedals. And so we're just going to kind of experiment with what that feels like to turn. And you can do this for a while, and you can really spend the time getting the feel for that in your feet. Once you're comfortable with that, what I would encourage you to do is still get yourself traveling in a straight line, then start releasing your hands. And just get used to, can I, with my feet, go in a straight line forward and backwards? And in the beginning, if you need to set it with your hands and then let go, that's okay. Again, think of them as training wheels. Set them with your hands and then let go. Use those training wheels. And then what we're going to do is, once you're comfortable with that and you can hold that, what we're going to do now is we're going to start to work on the finesse with our feet. And so now, instead of just going full bore forward, we're going to see if we can gently go forward and work on moving to going full. So we're going to start here in neutral, we're going to slowly lean them back, and then we're going to go all the way. And again, this could take a couple hours, this could take 20 minutes, this could take you a week. As we've talked about on this channel, everyone learns at a different pace. It takes people different amounts of time to really get comfortable with this. But this is what you're going to be practicing, is the finesse over your controls, using only your feet. And again, if we need to set our hands to this and then take our hands away to see if we can keep our pedals where they need to be, that's a great way to practice. Once you're comfortable with that part, now you're going to start getting into the more complex things like doing a turn. And so we're just going to start, now that we have the finesse in our feet, we're going to start to use that finesse to do some slow arcing turns. We're not just going to crank the pedals. You want to work on finesse, being able to turn nice and easy and control that. Do a hard turn and a slow turn. And that's going to be kind of your next step. Once you're comfortable with all that, now we're going to focus on putting our hands on our controls and just do some simple stuff. Can you track, instead of going full bore backwards, can we go at about half speed? And can we rotate the machine at the same time? Okay, not too bad. Now, can we start to maybe add a stick out and a turn at the same time? Again, this is all gonna take time. It's all gonna take practice. And then once you start getting more and more comfortable, now let's start, and again, we're gonna do all of this practice away from anything we could potentially damage, because obviously if you screw up, we don't want it to be a big deal. Don't go practice this on the edge of a cliff, guys. That's not a good idea. Don't practice this right up against a new home construction where you can totally up somebody's house. Do this out in the open when you got a couple times. If you're out in the field loading trucks and you got a couple minutes between cycles, perfect time to practice. So once you get comfortable with all that, now let's start doing some practice air digging and add in some more complexity. Can we do a turn and air dig at the same time? And start getting familiar and comfortable with all of these different motions. And eventually what's gonna happen is over time, you're gonna get more and more and more comfortable to the point that these actually, you're gonna find getting your way more than anything. If this were our machine that we owned and Rick was good with it, I would actually remove these handles altogether, because these visually begin to getting your way and it makes your cab more cramped than if you were just able to remove them. And if you'll notice on a lot of the big machines especially, these literally just bolt on. And so you can remove them with no problem. It'll take you 5 minutes and then you've got way more room in the cab. You have a visual obstruction out of your way and you're able to do everything, including load and unload equipment from trailers using just your feet. And you'll have so much time and practice in, it will feel natural. It's not this weird, awkward, clanky thing that it is when you initially start up. So that's kind of the basics of how to get good at traveling with your feet. And again, I say it over and over. I'm gonna continue to say it to remind you guys, this is a craft. This is a skill. This is not something that happens overnight. This is just something that takes practice. My goal with this video today isn't to teach you how to drive with your feet in 5 minutes. It's not doable. It's gonna take practice and seat time in order to do it. And hopefully by using some of these tips and tricks, it will give you a little easier way to learn how to do it. So as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. You guys have a good one and we'll catch you on the next video.